Welcome to Stateside Street, a podcast where two Americans discuss all things Coronation Street. My name is Shanika,
I'm Amelia.
and today we have the privilege of chatting with a fantastic stage, screen, and voice actor. He's been on Hollyoaks, EastEnders, and of course, Coronation Street with over 300 episodes. You all know him as the bad boy Rob Donovan. Please welcome Marc Baylis to the podcast. Mark, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Great. Thank you for being here. Thank you
Doing
for
good.
being here.
You.
Before we really dive in, we want to get to some rapid fire questions. Basically, we want to ask you a few questions and you just hit us back with the first thing that comes to your mind. Amelia,
Uh,
you're up.
If Rob could be any Disney villain, who would he be and why?
Good one. I'm Gaston.
Amelia, didn't you say that
Oh,
too, right?
I
Gaston.
did.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
I have actually played Gaston in Panto as well. It's a
Mm.
different name because couldn't get the Disney rights and stuff like that. But there were a few similarities. Apart from that, I think he quite enjoyed playing Scar. I think he'd be a
Yeah.
good Scar in his older years, maybe.
Mm-mm-mm.
And definitely with that, kidney scar that he's got going on.
Okay. But great work.
I know that wasn't even meant to be a pun, but we'll
It's
go
him.
with it. Okay. What song would best describe Rob?
Ooh, best describe Rob.
Hmm.
I see, there's a few because but I know you need quick fire. I'll go Bittersweet Symphony, the verb.
Mm, nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that kind of tells his story a bit, and
Hmm.
especially kind of present day where his head's probably at as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of song
Okay.
that you use to get into Rob? To the headspace of Rob?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole mixture of stuff really that I do actually use music a fair bit to get into role. I think it massively helps with the energy of whichever person you're playing and stuff like that. Weirdly, actually, one song that I could have said, but isn't quite the answer to the question. On the audition process for Rob, I was basically walking the streets of Manchester listening to Eminem Lose Yourself constantly
Ah,
before the meetings and everything,
nice.
and that had helped me to walk into the room and be the
Yeah,
of Rob that I had at that stage.
nice.
Um, so we know that Rob will sadly not be in attendance for the wedding of the century.
Oh, do you know that? I'm
Oh,
joking. I'm
listen,
joking.
I was like, watch,
There-
it's gonna be Rob just bursting through the door, be like, what about me, sis?
Yeah.
But
Come on, he should be walking down the aisle, shouldn't he? Come on.
oh my gosh, that'd be so
I
good.
think they
That'd be
can make
so
an
funny.
exception, right? Let's get him
Yeah.
out for a third time, a
No,
third
I
prison
won't
escape.
be. Rob won't be there. You are correct. I'm teasing.
What is your favorite pudding?
Oh, good one. That line did go down very well, didn't it?
Yeah.
My favorite pudding. I mean, I've got to go traditional. It would probably be like, oh, good question. Sticky toffee pudding.
Mm,
Sticky
Oh, that is
toffee
so good.
custard.
that is really
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, big time.
that is good.
Mm.
How about yourselves?
Ooh, I don't.
Brownies. Brownies.
You didn't even have to think of them, did you?
All
Like just
right.
brown.
I did. Oh, I am the brownie master in my family. My cousin is a baker and cannot do box brownies. So
Mm.
every single time I'm there, they're like, "Where's the brownies?" I'm like, "I got you."
Mm. Yeah. I don't like sweets myself, but I will say I will go for like a salty toffee every now and then. Like I kind of
Oh,
like
no.
that, but I'm not a huge fan of sweets. But
Horses for courses, each for their own.
yeah, each their own. Yeah, yeah. Let's dive in. Let's dive in and talk about Rob and talk about your time on Corey.
So, how did it feel stepping back into the role of Rob after 12 years away?
It was interesting. It was really interesting. I kind of I said yes because I felt that there was a story to be told, and you get a bit of kind of you can get a bit anxious about putting an old pair of shoes on, but once I kind of had a chat with the team and about the story and all that kind of stuff, by the time that I was already back on set for the first scene, it was if I hadn't really been away really. I do like picking Rob up and putting him back down as long as there's a good story to be told. I loved the last stint. I thought it was a nice challenge for me as an actor as well.
Mhm.
Do you have a bone to pick with you? Why did you gotta hit Lisa Swain over the head with that phone? That was too far.
Brutal, wasn't it? It was
It was a bit
brutal.
brutal,
I
yeah.
had that chat with everyone. To be fair, it was kind of. I thought that it was really brutal. I thought that it was really harsh. I don't think it was necessary. Um, I think there could have been other avenues that we could have gone down. But that's what the story was, and that's where Rob was at, and that was his state of mind. So it's my job to play that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was dark. I thought there was a lot of material in the last film that was dark, and I don't think Rob was in a particularly healthy mental place, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot went
Um,
on.
how does it feel working with Sydney again since you two are co-stars in the short film Through the Eyes of Bairns?
Yeah, we had a great time actually. Yeah, we for listeners or viewers that don't know, we've got a short film that we've been working on this year called Through the Eyes of Bairns, actually directed by a Corrie director and Emmerdale director, Kate Benson Green. She's actually worked in ITV for years, and she's brilliant, absolutely amazing. There's a brilliant production team behind it. There's a few of the Emmerdale cast in there as well as John Middleton. There's Michelle
Michelle.
Hardwick in there.
Yep.
Well, um, so yeah, it's a story about domestic abuse basically, and we shot that just over a month ago. It's in post production now. Sydney actually played my daughter, so it was great. It was a lot of it was shot on either on location in Leeds. Or we actually used the Emmerdale studios as well, so which was great. It was nice to film there because I'd never actually been to the location where the village is. That's the set that we use down there, and I'd never been there before, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, Sydney is playing my daughter in the film, and we had a lot of brilliant material. It's a story that covers this family over, I think, between 3 or 4 decades timeline wise. And she's brilliant. She did a great job. It was nice to actually have some dialogue with her. The scene that we shot whilst I was back on Corrie was there was a section where I spotted Betsy and she kind of ran away from me, and I started chasing after her a little bit. But that was the only scene that we ever shared together, really. So, yeah, we had a lot of fight choreography to work through together, and it's brilliant. It should be a really nice short film. So we're all very excited for that to be wrapped up and hopefully hitting the festival circuit, basically.
Yeah. What sort of, just to piggyback on that, what sort of drew you into that character and that story? Because obviously it's a very powerful and hard-hitting story in film. So what sort of drew you into that?
I think that well, it's really about domestic abuse. I think that these stories should be told in order to let people's stories be heard, in order to hopefully prevent it from happening so much in the future. It's not always easy material to work on, but as an actor, you've got a responsibility to tell the story in the right way, and I think that's what we've done. I've seen edits yet, but from the way that it felt on set, I feel that we've told the story, and it's a proper family story who are in that circumstance of domestic abuse, and yeah, a lot of it happens behind closed doors, doesn't it? So hopefully we can pull the curtain open on that a little bit, and if it gets people talking, and hopefully it can make changes for
Yeah.
if it's just the truth of one family, then it's job done, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've seen uh Connie come onto the cobbles, the sweet little 6-month-old daughter of uh Rob and his prison guard Mandy. Um, and Carla seems to think that Connie has Rob's eyebrows. Do you agree with that statement?
I've not actually seen Connie. I will be brutally honest. So I've not seen the baby. I've not seen any of the eps. But if she has got my eyebrows, then she should be proud of them.
Do you have any funny moments behind the scenes from whenever you came back to Corrie after those 12 years of being gone?
There was actually I was watching a little bit of footage back, and me and Ali had a bit of a laugh. There was after the whole siege thing with the police and everything. Rob's being wheeled into the into the ambulance, and Ali Carla comes over and kind of says something to him and pulls the mask off my face, and she literally just pins my ear to my head in a really awkward thing. We hadn't actually noticed it at the time, but when I was watching it back, I was like, "You are literally abusing my ear right now." Like literally, it was properly contorted. So that was one that we watched in the aftermath. But it's always a good laugh. We worked together for so long. Um, yeah, with it was lovely to be back in the Barlows with Kate as well, with Tracy. It's lovely to be back on that particular set. I've spent a lot of time in the Barlow's house, and to do a whole section in there. But it's not just with the cast; it's with the crew as well. It's that was one of the highlights for me to be going back, is that with a lot of the material that we had on this stint, it was all in kind of singular locations, and so we all had some quality time together, and a nice bit of banter, and it was good to catch up after all these
Hmm.
years.
Last question for me. Sydney has told us that Allie and Vicky have the tendency to add some lines and or crack up laughing between or during a take. What is your favorite moment behind the scenes with the duo that has been affectionately known as Swarla?
It's every moment. I think there's a particular singular moment. It was lovely to go back and go into their wood. They're on lockdown together pretty much, with the amount of material that they're working together and working on together, and it was just nice to go in there and have a bit of play with both of them. Love working with Vicky. We really enjoyed working together, and it added just another element to it all, really. But yeah, I didn't stand a prayer. I didn't have a prayer with it's 2 against 1 in there, isn't it? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I know my place. I know my place. I pick my battles. I don't pick my battles with them too.
Yeah. It's funny. So, Mark, I actually
Great.
want to take a step back real quick. So I'm assuming you started in theater, you started on the stage. And how has that training sort of prepared you to work on soaps? Because I feel like soaps is a sort of a different ball game. You have to be off book pretty quickly, and things are sort of running really quickly. So I'm just curious how your theater training sort of influenced your approach to soaps.
It's it's almost the opposite way of working. In theatre, you'll be in the rehearsal room for, on average 4 or 5 weeks. Sometimes it's shorter, where if it is shorter, that's where my fast turnaround experience can help. Line preparation wise and character preparation wise, it's the same, except for screen wise, you've got to do a lot of it yourself.
Mhm.
It can be quite solitary. Whereas you're working with the team with theatre. I think the way that theatre definitely helps with any type of filming, not just soaps or TV, but any type. is the fact that in theatre, you've got to do 1 or 2 shows a day. There is that repetition in there. It's not always the same. There's a journey that you're and a story that you're telling, but the beat will be different every night, and that can help with stage, with screen as well, So it is that thing, being able to constantly hit your marks, hit your pointers, have a bit of freedom with it as well, so that it's not too rigid as such. So that side of things has definitely helped me in the fact that hitting beats, I think, is a key one, that they both align to, but yeah, different processes.
Yeah, different ball game for sure. So when
Yeah.
you first received the script and the breakdown for Rob, what sort of intrigued you about Rob? What sort of drew you into his character?
It was a kind of character that I'd actually been waiting for a while, and as soon as I read the breakdown, I knew that I was right for the job. And that doesn't always happen, You'll get breakdowns or you'll get scripts come in, and sometimes you can feel that you're kind of pitching for it a little bit. It could feel that it's too much of a bit of a stretch sometimes, not always, but every script is different. But this particular one with Rob. It was an instinct that I could do a good job of the role, and yeah, I got the job. And my instincts were right on it, and I know there were a lot of actors that were auditioning for Rob, and it was something I'm very proud of getting, basically, and having the privilege of doing his journey for God, how long is it now? 13 odd years since he
Yeah,
was the first, something like that. Is it?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Around
bonkers,
that
isn't it?
time.
It's bonkers.
Yeah. It's been a
Yeah.
while, and just looking at his development is very interesting. And I'm really curious of what do you think drove Rob, and how did you sort of humanize him?
The working class background is a huge, huge part of Rob that I can relate to and have bring a lot to the table with. I think Rob's childhood has been of huge detriment to his life. I feel that Carla has kind of done better than Rob in terms of dealing with the upbringing that they had, and he's, wouldn't say become a victim of that, but it's definitely sent him on the wrong trajectory, and it's a battle that he's always been having, and that is something that I saw in the breakdown. It's what I could see in the script. It's something that I felt that I could bring to the table. A bit of an anti-hero in a way, but then a lot of dark material with Rob as well. But then there's
Yeah,
also comedy in them, So
yeah,
I think that's the thing that I love about Rob so much, is that I have to pull on so many of my skills that I've worked over the years, or have had a natural instinct for, but not had the opportunity to show. That is one of the beauties of corrie, is that you do get to use different skill sets as an actor, and you need to pull it out of the bag when you're working that fast.
yeah, for sure. You mentioned his upbringing, Rob's upbringing, and
Mm.
to me, I feel like family sort of drives him in a way. And I'm really curious about his relationships with Carla, with Bobby, and his family. I sort of wish they could have explored that a bit more. That's something I really would love to see. I'm
Um,
curious on your thoughts about that, and also what are your thoughts about Bobby and Connie, having to live with Carla for quite a while, and those family relationships.
I think those relationships are something that Rob has not had enough opportunity of to harness and to grow, and to develop. And I think that would be the thing that really would turn his life around. Having the responsibility of a child, obviously he wasn't present enough with Bobby's
Mhm.
childhood. And I think that a human being would learn from that and not want a repeat of history with with Connie, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it is family. It is family for Rob. It's just that he keeps tripping himself over, you know.
Yeah.
There's something in there that he doesn't have a control of, and I do think that if he did have better relationships and a better unit around him, then those triggers maybe wouldn't be happening, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It was this really interesting scene on Corey not too long ago where Carla was talking about her hesitancy of taking care of Connie, because she felt like that she had to take care of Bobby, now Connie, and sort of had to be the responsible one in when it comes to Rob. And so that dynamic is really interesting to me. And I just wish we could have seen a little bit more, but who knows? Maybe one day Rob will come back. It'll be a third escape. You never know.
Well, you know, I there's only so many times that you can
Yeah.
escape, isn't there? Let's be
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think there'll be any more escapes, but
Yeah.
it could be that he's sentence at some point.
Mm,
Out of my hands.
yeah.
We'll see what happens in that world, but yeah, I do think it would be lovely to explore, and I do think it would
Yeah.
be lovely to see Rob as a father. I do
Mm,
think that he has got that side to him that I think he'd actually be a brilliant dad.
yeah.
If he's in a good state of mind, if he's in a good place.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and again, it's kind of we've done a lot of work with Rob and Carla, but not necessarily to an extent where they've really had a period of time where they're working together on the
Mhm.
same trajectory. I think it's a real shame that he pulled the wool over our eyes as such again
Mhm.
on this most recent storyline. But I do feel that there could be a resolution there.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of relationships, I have to talk about Tracy and Rob. Yeah, they had some very tumultuous time and very intense moments, but lovely moments. They're one of my favorite couples, to be honest. But I'm very curious, looking back, is there any particular line or scene that sort of stands out to you?
There was, I mean, there was loads of stuff when we had like the second hand shop and all of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But there was one scene that we part of a story that we did. For some reason, we were breaking into the Bowes house,
Hmm.
and I can't actually remember why. But there was just this one, and I think it was one of the moments that I kind of chose that this was a moment that Rob was actually falling for Tracy because
Yeah,
they're literally in the back garden, and she puts a brick or a broom through the back window, and he just thinks he's absolutely brilliant that
yeah,
she's breaking her own house. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
yeah.
how he loved that zany aspect, and I do think that it was a genuine thing for Rob. He did love Tracy.
Hmm.
There is a part of it still loves Tracy, but that was one of the lovely things of just before the heist in the most recent storyline.
Hmm.
There was a nice bit of dialogue that we both had, and Rob was saying about how, he'd go away with Tracy and he'd give
Hmm.
it all up for her again, and her and Amy and all of that kind of stuff. And there was a little bit of manipulation in as part of the arc for the storyline that was in there, but I played it in a way that it was absolutely genuine for Rob, and I that was my choice. That I thought that was the way that he does feel. Yeah, we've all had a great time, me and Kate, working together and finding those nuances and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's always been a joy, Rob and Tracy.
Yeah, yeah, very great couple, very interesting and complex couple. So I
Yeah.
mentioned Kate Ford. You've obviously worked with absolute legends like William Roache, some wonderful actors, Ali King. What is something that you've learned from them, like, or any scene partner that you sort of can still take with you?
Oh, but I do actually think it's a responsibility for every actor to bring something to the table. We've all got
Hmm.
different ways of working, basically, and I think it's our job to respect how the other actor works. what could work for one actor might not work for another. So we all kind of find our own method, our own way over years, over experience. And without a doubt, on that show, I've learned so much. Playing it down, keeping it as naturalistic as you possibly can. It's you've still got to have an energy behind it all. It's kind of you can't just be doing nothing. It doesn't read, the camera doesn't lie. It's about having the detail in there behind, and you can. Let's talk about in the Bollows. So you've got Bill Roache and you've got Annie Kirkbride, obviously back in the day as well. When we were a not so experienced screen actor going into the Barlows and working with these people and watching the way that you work, you can't help but learn on the job. You're on lockdown with them for the day. You're on set with them for 10 hours a day, and if you're not learning, then you're not paying attention, and you probably don't care about your job enough, to be brutally honest. They're gifts. It's gifts working with other actors, because there's always something to learn. There's no defined way of a process. That's why it's a creative art. I learned so much on that job that I hope to be taking on to other jobs and passing on to younger actors that might not have any experience. But then a younger actor may have far more experience than I've had if they've been doing it since they were a baby. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of horses for courses. I just think being on set, have a respect for everyone, and you'll always learn.
Yeah. Is there a scene in your time in Corey that sort of made you go, wow, I cannot believe I'm working with this person, or something that you saw that's like, okay, I have to pull from that one day.
Oh, so many, so many. But there was weirdly there was in the earlier years. It's kind of when you do the big ensemble scenes, it's kind of, if you're doing it's when everyone's on set. If you're doing a big Christmas scene in the Rovers, or in the Bistro, if all these big sets that you've they've got huge amounts of history, and then you look around you, and it's kind of, you've got the tapestry of the street all there with you. It's a privilege, it's an honor. But weirdly, unrelated to other actors, there was one man on the street, and it was when the Rovers was on fire. I think it was Sunita's death. Might have been like 2014, something like that. I didn't have a lot of material in the actual storyline itself. I just remember standing on the street and just watching the Rovers being on fire, thinking, this is crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
A
You've
piece of
got like
history.
all the
Yeah.
health and safety going on and everything, and got the actors up there in the actual flames and everything, and it's kind of, and it's the middle of the night as well. It's kind of all of that stuff, and they're saying it's also kind of all the stuff that me and Michelle Keegan did with all the stunts at the end of her storyline. I think if I hadn't have had the experience of being in the background as such, watching the Rovers being on fire, I don't think I would have been quite prepared for the responsibility of a storyline like that. And so that's why, again, it's an ensemble piece. It's kind of everyone has to work together, and it's not always about. It's not about being at the front. It's about working as a team, and respecting everyone for what they're doing, cast and crew.
Yeah. How long did you know that Rob was going to be the one that sort of picked Tina out?
I found out a while actually after Michelle found out that they were killing off
Oh, okay.
Tina. I found out probably about 6 months before the end of my contract. But it was, we had all the aftermath of afterwards. There was a good, I think it was like 6, 7 months after that we had the whole thing of Rob's. I played it as mental demise in Thrilled. That we had to play it all out, and the whodunit storyline and all of that
Yeah.
side of things, you know. So, and then the big confession with Carla as well. So it was, you know, I kind of probably knew about 9 months before my contract, but only a few months before the actual filming of Tina being killed, basically.
Is there a particular scene or moment where you felt like you truly found Rob's character? And did that sort of change when you came back?
So the first thing was there a particular moment that I felt that I found Rob? Do you
Hmm.
mean, or?
Yeah, like that you found his sort of character. You're like, okay, like I know him from inside
I
out, I
think
guess.
I do actually think it was when Rob and Tracy got together. You know, I think it took a while to establish a character on a long running program purely because you've got multiple writers that have got an idea of that character. You've got a new actor that's getting used to working with multiple writers.
Mhm.
And so you've kind of got a process that takes a while for everyone to actually be on the same page. So you've kind of got 3 months on average where everything's been developed for the actor. Then you start filming that 3 months of material, and then it takes 3 months for it to be aired. At the end of that 3 months, everyone from writers to storyliners to yourself as the actor can start honing it all together and bringing it all
Yeah.
together. And it takes time, you know. So in all, it probably takes about a year for a new character to, I think, to be properly working, to be established, to be rooted, to be grounded, for everyone to be on the same page. So it's kind of around that time probably that Rob and Tracy came or
Mhm.
started to kind of work together. So yeah, it was probably around that time.
What sort of
Yeah.
character would you like to play in the future? Like on a drama or comedy or even on stage?
um, at some point, I would love to go back on stage, and I'd like to do some American classics. I'd like to go back and I love Shakespeare. I love Restoration.
Mm.
In another time, you know, maybe that would be more feasible, life wise, for me to be doing that again. I miss the theatre, and so that, yeah, I'd love to be doing that. But oh man, there's so many characters. Like I would love to do a classical piece, a period piece, I should say. You know,
Mm.
I love a bit of action as well. You know, so I
Yeah.
don't like to. I think I became an actor, or I am an actor, because I like variety and I like mixing it up. So
Mm.
any of the above,
Yeah.
and a happy boy, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna play the type and say I think you would be great as an streetcar named Desire, but maybe that's a little bit too typecast with Rob and everything. So
Yeah, but it is that kind of, you know, again, anti-hero, you know, but
yeah.
there is all that, you know. Um, I wouldn't mind having a shot at One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well at some
Oh,
point.
yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
a good one. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, you know, who knows? Who knows? You never know what's going to happen in this business.
Yeah, it's definitely in the cards. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I
Yeah.
learned a lot. It was really great. I know our listeners are gonna
Yes.
love it as well. Yeah,
They're gonna
It's been
love
a
this
pleasure.
surprise interview. They're gonna love
100%.
this.
Yeah.
How could they not get the clue?
I
I know.
don't
That's what
know.
I
Like
said.
it was so obvious.
Yeah.
I've literally
Not a
had
single
people
soul
walk
thought.
up to me on the street and say, "What's your favourite pudding?"
Thank you.
Yay, my favorite part. Um, this has been Stateside Street. I'm Amelia
I'm Shanika.
and our lovely guest Mark. And you all have been fabulous, and we will see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.